For over 20 years, he has passionately studied the art and science of natural healing and made it his mission to spread the word of health and wellness to the global community. Since founding Global Healing Center in 1998, he has led the research and development team in formulating groundbreaking nutraceuticals designed to promote internal cleansing and good health. His approach is based on the understanding that disease is caused by an accumulation of toxins within the body. Tonight, Dr. Group will be sharing with you his expert opinion on how you too can discover the secret to health. Dr. Edward Group is a doctor of chiropractic, a naturopathic physician, certified clinical nutritionist, a holistic health practitioner, certified clinical herbalist, and a diplomat of the Chiropractic Board of Clinical Nutrition. A published author, frequent radio and television guest, and internationally known speaker, his accomplishments in science and natural medicine have garnered worldwide recognition. Under his leadership, Global Healing Center has become one of the world's most respected natural and alternative health resources. His passion and integrity truly solidify his position as a modern-day Renaissance man. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Edward F. Group.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know about Renaissance man, more like renegade man, but thank you so much for coming out and listening to this tonight. This is very important and it's close to my heart because, you know, originally I wanted to be a medical doctor and ended up meeting somebody that got me into natural medicine and kind of had an argument with him. And, you know, the way I was trained really was that, you know, medicine is everything, and it wasn't until I actually went and started looking and breaking down the prescription medications really and found that that was just a Band-Aid. It was just, you know, putting something over a symptom but not addressing the root cause of disease. And that's what led me to develop the secret to health, because really disease is not something that people should be fearful of. I mean, right now, 10 out of 10 people pretty much are suffering from something, whether it's a headache once a week or joint pain or muscle pain. It's not something that everybody needs to run to their doctor for. And even when I was going through training and trying to learn everything I can about natural medicine, still, even when I was meeting with medicine man, or if I was going through chiropractic, or I was going through naturopathic or whatever, it still didn't teach me the root cause, really. I mean, still all of that was, okay, well, instead of prescribing a medication, let's prescribe white willow bark for your headache or something like that. Now, chiropractic is awesome because there's so much that it does to reactivate all the organs and everything. But what I wanted to do was figure out, what is it that causes all negative health conditions? What is the root cause of all disease? And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. So basically, everything is in simplicity. You know, you can look for all the answers out here for years and years and years. I mean, I had a degenerative disease clinic because cancer was really something that I wanted to focus on. That was, you know, I'm the type of person that I want the hardest thing, and then I want to learn every single thing about it. If nobody in the world knows how to cure cancer, I want to figure it out. And myself and a few other people just dove really deep into that years ago while we were studying all this and said, we're going to figure out how to teach people, because everybody has a self-healing mechanism inside their body. That's what's not being taught. You know, the best medicine and the best doctor is you. You know, but you're supposed to listen to your body, and you're supposed to listen to your symptoms that the body gives you, because the body will always give you symptoms. That headache is not your body telling you, run to get some ibuprofen. That's your body telling you, you ate something wrong, you slept wrong, something is malfunctioning within your system. You know, I was young and getting out of school, and we just, you know, I went down, we trained with all the doctors in Mexico because they have to go down there because you're not allowed in the United States to heal disease or teach somebody how to heal disease. I mean, anybody that starts to become successful will get run out of town, or they'll get raided, or anything like that. I mean, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk to you guys about, hopefully a lot of you already know it. But I mean, if you pick someone off the street and you start going into a lot of the stuff we're going to share tonight, you have to have an open mind, because some of this stuff, every single thing that I'm going to tell you tonight is 100% true. Whether you agree with it or not is up to you. But what I say is I've spent 20 years doing research on every single one of these topics that I'm going to share with you tonight. And if you want some of that research, feel free to contact me. But I always recommend people do their own research, because that's what really changes you. You know, somebody can come up to you and say, yeah, gluten's bad for you. And, you know, maybe that person will believe them. But I'm the type of person that I want to see all the research behind it. So when we felt comfortable with our theories and with, you know, what we had learned, we opened up a degenerative disease clinic and cancer clinic, even though everybody told me not to, in 1999 here in Houston, actually. And it got so big so fast because we had such good success rates. And when the patients would come in and we would talk to them, I would say, and we ended up having people from all over the world flying in with all different types of diseases that had already seen 10, 15, 20 different doctors, and even natural doctors that still couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. So they would come in and look me in the face, and they would usually be upset, and they would say, well, what are you going to do that none of the other doctors did? And I said, okay, well, what's wrong with you? Well, I have cancer. Okay, well, tell me why you have cancer. Explain to me why you have cancer. And they said, well, I don't know. You know, my doctor just said I had cancer. And I said, well, don't you think that you need to understand why you have cancer first before you learn how to get rid of your cancer? Did any of your doctors explain to you the root cause of your cancer? And they would say, no, nobody ever did. I said, so what did any of those doctors do to take 2 steps back and cleanse you and detoxify you, because obviously your body's already toxic, before they put you on chemo and radiation, or before they put you on all kinds of natural stuff? They would say, well, nothing. I said, well, okay, well, that's what we're going to do that's different from everybody else. And then we would take them through a 2 or 3 hour lecture. And it's not only cancer. Every single thing here that you're going to learn in an hour and a half is more than all the medical doctors know out there, the majority of them, and majority of people out there. You'll have all the answers that you need, and you'll totally understand what causes disease and negative health conditions. And we were really successful with that clinic until the word got out, and then we ended up getting raided and was told that we couldn't do what we were doing here in the United States. And basically I had to shut down. And they still come in my office 2 times a year. Matter of fact, they were just in last week, the FDA, for 5 hours harassing us about what we're trying to do, because we're trying to help people. So, first I want to start off by giving you a little background about how health came about and science came about. From Christ to the 1600s, the mission of science before the modern era, this is before pharmaceuticals, was to gain an understanding of the natural order so we can live in harmony with it. But then we had the scientific revolution up to 1643. And that was the start of the man-made science. Nature had to be bound into service and made a slave. She was to be put in constraint, and the aim of the scientist was to torture nature's secrets from her. And since that time, everything's been going downhill. The new mission statement after 1643 to the present is to obtain knowledge that can be used to dominate and control nature. You see everybody across the world right now who's suffering from sickness. But what a lot of people don't know is the whole world is suffering from sickness. We're losing 200 species a day that are eliminated forever. The earth is just as sick as everybody else is. So what's the difference between modern medicine and natural medicine? Modern medicine is that an organism is controlled from inside the cell, that the genes control the organism, and heredity passes the traits, which is called genetic determinism. That means if your mom had breast cancer, you might have breast cancer. And what's crazy right now is that you have women that are going in and getting double mastectomies because their doctor told them that they have a chance to get breast cancer because their mom had breast cancer. But that is not true, and that's actually been proven by a guy named Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's a cellular biologist, and he's made one of the greatest discoveries of all time, that natural medicine is an organism, being us, or any organism, a tree or something, is controlled from outside the cell. The environment controls the organism, which is called genetic adaptation. So we're basically going to adapt to what we're exposed to. That's what makes sense. Obviously, if we, drink a bunch of gasoline or something, that's going to affect us. What exactly is a gene? A gene is a DNA segment that determines your individual traits, characteristics, or susceptibility to disease. Now, if we look at it in natural medicine, the way that it's supposed to be, that the genes get the signals from outside of the cell, that all the commands and body function is determined by the energetic reading of the environment, either the internal environment and the external environment. It comes from the outside in. We smell it, we taste it, we're exposed to EMFs or something like that. And modern medicine is just the opposite. It says that the genes get signals from inside of the cell, which is impossible, really, if you think about it. All the commands and body mechanics start in the nucleus of the cells, right? How many times have you heard the nucleus is the brain of the cell? That's where everything starts. Well, Dr. Lipton wanted to prove that wrong and actually removed the nucleus, the brain, from the cell. And the cell still was alive. The cell still lived. It respirated. It went to the bathroom. It couldn't replicate, but it was living. It still lived. So that means that modern medicine is completely wrong, that the outside of the cell membrane, is really the brain of the cell, because when he removed the cell membrane, it'd be like removing your skin, then the cell died. The reason I'm explaining that is because all disease starts at the cellular level, or all malfunction starts at the cellular level. We have 100 trillion cells. Cells clump together to make tissues, tissue clumps together to make organs. Organs work to develop systems in the body, and then all of that together is the human body. So what really causes malfunction, or what really causes disease, is the perception and alterations in cellular function from the internal and external environment. What you're exposed to, the air you're exposed to, the environment you're exposed to. If you live in a big city as opposed to out in the woods, that would be your external environment. Words that are coming in at you, the people that you meet, those are all external things that would affect you and stress you out or cause some negative harm. And the internal environment is really the majority of stuff we're going to be talking about today, is how the internal environment affects you. And that's going to be through the foods, the beverages, the heavy metals, the drugs. Physical and emotional stress is going to be an external. Microbial infestation, parasites would be an internal. Negative belief patterns, blocked elimination routes, which is one of the reasons why we have too many toxins coming into the body on a daily basis and not enough coming out, where your cells become confused and start malfunctioning. Now, if you look at the way that life is in general, every living substance, or every living organism, is composed of at least 80% water minimum. The earth itself is composed of 80% water minimum. The cells are filled with water. Your cells are filled with water, and around your cells is water. It's very close to seawater, actually. It's almost identical to seawater, but it's water. What happens is the water in your cell and the water surrounding your cell starts to become toxic. And your self-healing mechanism that you were born with, the one that's the most powerful that you have, starts to fall down, and your self-healing mechanism can't be activated. It's hard to activate your self-healing mechanism. I talked about how your body is water, and this is very interesting because there was a guy named Masaru Emoto who did a lot of research on water structure and function. And he found that the water can change by toxin exposure, your thought patterns, belief, the frequency, exposing the cell to potentially dangerous conditions, or it can change when you expose the cell to healthy conditions as well. So this is some of the findings that he found in the structure of water. So what a perfect clean water should look like, the slide on the left. It's a crystalline structure, just like your cell membrane is a crystalline structure when it's normal and it has everything it needs. Because as a crystal, it acts as a semiconductor. It has gates and channels that open and close, and it can receive frequencies or signals and send frequencies and signals. That's exactly what you want. So what he did was he took 2 vials, one with pure clean water and another vial which was contaminated with toxins. He looked at it under a microscope, and this is what he saw. So you can see that the one that's contaminated with toxins is altered and is malfunctioning. One vial, he put the word thank you on it with clean water, and the other vial he wrote, "You make me sick, I will kill you." Then he tested the water again, and that's what he came out with. He then wanted to see how sound affected your water. And so you can see that box air for the G-string has a 6-sided crystalline structure, where heavy metal music completely breaks the structure of water. It can't function properly. So even though the sound and the music that you listen to is very important. After he did all that, which were external factors on the water, trying to figure out how that was going to affect water, then he said, well, I wonder if we can affect water just by thinking, just by thoughts. So there was a pond, and this pond was heavily contaminated. He took a sample of it, the water, which is on the left, before offering a prayer. And there was like 3 or 4 monks, I think, with him. He took a sample of it, and then they went to the pond and they sat around and they all thought positive thoughts like love and blessings and all this stuff into the water for like 15 or 20 minutes. Then they took another reading, and that's what happened to the water. So that is pretty amazing when you can think, put good thoughts into something and have it go from that contamination to a perfect angelic looking crystal right there. The one thing, and I'm going to be talking about this a lot later, that really worries me and a lot of the physicians, the natural physicians that are out there right now that are seeing this in their practice, is electromagnetic radiation. What worries me is when you can't see something and you can't feel something, but it's there bombarding your body in a negative way, and you really don't have any choice to get away from it. That's electromagnetic radiation. And what he found was the water was the worst with electromagnetic radiation, because on the right you see water influenced by electromagnetic waves continue to be broken because of the waves. They can't reform themselves into crystals. And that's with TV, cell phones, electromagnetic waves, and other different types of frequencies, microwave radiation, etc. Looking at all the different types of toxins, all the different things that can cause disease after so many years, and we actually went through so much testing. I had like over 300 different nutritional supplements that we were using with people. But again, I only did that for a while because I realized that there was something even simpler than that, and simpler than that, and simpler than that. And I'm not talking about stuff that you get at Vitamin Shop. We had individual supplements that were really high-tech coming from Germany and Switzerland and all different areas of the world. But we started researching, and it's like, why is this stuff not taught? I mean, what's going on here? So we looked at all these toxin exposure pathways and said, okay, we know that the air, the food, the water, blah, 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 are coming into the body, but how are they getting into the body? So then we looked at all the exposure points and realized that about 95%, even the toxins that you breathe in through your respiratory system, a lot of times they get caught in your mucous membranes. And your mucus, that's why you have the little nose hairs and all that, and you secrete mucus, and then it drains down into your stomachs to protect the lungs, really, from breathing in a lot of stuff, although you still do get toxins in through your skin and your lungs, probably about 5 to 10%. But we really realized the most important area, and where 95% of these things were entering your body, was the intestines and the colon. It's how most of the disease-causing, emotional disrupting, cellular malfunctioning things happen, and that's the first exposure point. I put closely guarded secret by Big Pharma because when we realized that the target point was the intestines, I started asking all the gastroenterologists. I started calling around, figuring out what the training was like, and I realized that they really didn't have any training in the gastrointestinal tract, and even the gastroenterologists really didn't know about any type of toxins. And that led me to thinking, well, why is it that we have supposedly the best scientists in the world in the medical arena, and they still don't know what the appendix is? That doesn't make sense, you know? I mean, still to this day, the medical profession does not know what the appendix is. So I started trying to find out what the appendix was. And there's really not a lot of information out there. We ended up tracking down and translating information from German and Russian documentation. They know Germany is way ahead of us as far as natural medicine goes, and found out that the appendix is really the brain of your body. It's really your microcomputer chip. It's not up in your brain like what we thought before. The cell, the nucleus of the cell was the brain, then we learned it's not. Now we learned that the appendix is the brain of the body, and the reason why it is because your appendix is located at the juncture of your small and large intestine. Why wouldn't the micro-relay center of the brain of your body, why would it not be located in the intestines? That's where every single thing comes in. The appendix actually helps regulate every single system in your body. The neurological, the endocrine system, because it knows and reads what you put in your system. It's going to read the acid alkaline base. It's going to read what your probiotics is like. You know, it's going to tell your body, your liver, what to prepare for. It's going to tell your brain and your hormones and your endocrine system what hormones to produce. It's going to relay every single thing that you've given it. Either you've given it unhealthy stuff, and it's going to relay that to your body, or you've given it healthy stuff. It's going to tell you your water, you know, all that stuff. So it just goes to show you again how important the intestines and the colon is. You have 30 feet or so of intestinal lining, about 20 feet or so the small intestine, and then you have 10 feet in the colon. A lot of people focus on the colon, which is very important, but a lot of people don't focus on the small intestine. That's really where a lot of times you're going to get a lot of absorption of toxins. So you can see on the left, this would be a healthy colon, and a toxic colon would be anybody suffering from gas, bloating, diverticulitis, colon polyps, you know, colitis, any type of impaction, strictures, anything like that. And I put on there, if the average person knew that regaining their health was as easy as cleaning their intestines and the environment they exposed themselves to, and we wouldn't need prescription drugs. So, kind of touched on this, but this is kind of the map that we put together to show how disease really takes effect inside the system. So if you take, and these numbers are not, probably a lot under actually than what you would do. Just depends. Everybody lives in a different environment. You know, that's so important about the environment that you create yourself. You know, that's why you can't say that, that's why there's really no such thing as clinical trials, if you think about it. Because in order to do an accurate clinical trial, you would literally have to clone 40 people, because everybody's biochemistry is different, clone 40 people, have them exposed to the same diet every single day, same liquids consumed every day, same emotional and physical stress levels every day. It is technically impossible to do an accurate clinical trial. Let's say that you're taking in 200,000 toxins from air on a daily basis, 200,000 toxins from food on a daily basis, 200,000 from beverages, 200,000 from microbes, because microbes take your nutrients and secrete acids in their waste in your body. Microbes is, you know, fungus, candida, worms, viruses, bacteria, mycoplasms, you name it. Then you add the physical and emotional stress. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones that your body starts breaking down right away. The EMFs, or the frequencies, the negative frequencies that you're exposed to. Heavy metals, prescription medications if you're on them. And the last one is blocked neurological feedback. If you've had trauma, or you've been in accidents or spinal malfunction, your organs, like even if one of your bones is out in your back that goes to the nerve that goes to your liver might not be functioning at 100%. It won't be. It might be functioning at 80%. So how is your liver going to detoxify all those toxins coming in if it's not correct? And so many people have blocked neurological feedback. Pretty much everybody does. So, to explain the disease process, there's no such thing as a separate disease for diabetes and arthritis and cancer and all the millions of diseases the hundreds of thousands of diseases that they have labeled out there, fibromyalgia and all that. It all just one thing. It's just too many toxins coming in and not enough coming out. So let's say you have 2.1 million toxins coming in on a daily basis. Your body can only handle 1 million toxins on a daily basis. What happens to that additional 1.1 million toxins? Well, everybody has ways to eliminate these toxins from their body on a regular basis. If your liver's functioning good and you can detoxify, great. You still have to eliminate them though. Women have 5 ways to eliminate toxins. Guys have 4 ways. You're going to eliminate this through respiration. You're going to breathe them out. If you're doing heavy activity and you're sweating at the same time, that's 50% of your elimination routes right there. You're going to breathe them and sweat them out. Problem is, we've become a sedentary society, a sedentary world with computers. Nobody's exercising that much anymore. Next is going to be urination and defecation. You're going to defecate it out. And women obviously have their menstrual cycles, which women have 5 ways to eliminate. Might be one of the reasons why they live longer. Then men have 4 ways to eliminate toxins from their body. Most people aren't drinking enough water. Matter of fact, the studies that we did, we found that 90% of Americans are chronically dehydrated because they drink coffee, colas, alcohol, wine, beer, tea. Nobody likes to drink water, so they're not urinating all the toxins out anymore. They're not defecating the toxins out either because they're not having their 2 to 3 bowel movements a day, or at least 2 bowel movements a day. They're having maybe 2 bowel movements a week. So this is a basic understanding of how it all boils down to, are you taking in more toxins than you're relieving on a regular basis? So now I want to start going into some of these because I believe that you have to learn where these things are, but at the same time, I'm not just going to sit up here and say, oh yeah, this is all the stuff and goodbye, because you want to have solutions to all this too. So it's about, I don't believe there's such thing as problems, but there's always situations and there's always a remedy for the situations. So the body toxins from air that we're dealing with continue to get worse and worse and worse. What's happened is, if you look 100 years ago, we had 28% oxygen in the air. Right now, oxygen is a key component. I mean, oxygen and water is what drives your body. And right now, in some cities, it's down to 6%. So we're lit because of all the trees that are being cut down, everything's being poisoned. We're losing our oxygen levels. So that, oxygen is a natural detoxifier. I mean, you hear all this stuff about the ozone and ozone this and ozone that. Ozone is actually a good thing. I mean, you can't breathe it directly in, but we've used ozone with incredible results, going with ozone directly into the blood, ozone insufflations. It's an amazing healing substance, and you can read massive amount of clinical research on the effects of ozone in the body. We take about 30,000 breaths every single day. So out of those 30,000 breaths, oxygen and air quality is one of the most important things for our body in order for us to heal properly. Down here, you have a lot of mold and mildew. If you have pets, you have pet dander. Home building sickness syndrome is huge, which means that most of the homes and the buildings that people work in are actually sick. We have smoke, ozone and pollution, dirty AC filters, chemtrails. This is a controversial issue. We've done a lot of research on it. I'm sure you guys have seen all the trails in the sky lately. VOCs, volatile organic compounds. All this you add up, and these are the things that you're breathing into your body on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, playing and crawling on a typical floor exposes babies to fumes from contaminants such as mold, mildew, and dust mites. 1 day of exposure introduces the equivalent of 4 cigarettes to an infant's lungs. The carpet has a lot of what's called volatile organic compounds, fire retardants, stuff like that, and chemicals on it that outgas, and just all the dust and everything else that falls onto the carpet. Sick building syndrome and house syndrome you have up in the attic. Usually most people have toxic things. You can see the couch, the rug, even the car. You might have paints and stuff in there. There's usually a lot of toxic things. We were doing a reality show called Dr. Detox where we actually went into people's homes and started, and even when we had our clinic, we would go into people's homes because everybody will tell you, yeah, I don't have anything that's toxic, everything's fine. And you walk in and you go through the kitchen, this is toxic, this is toxic. You go through the whole house, and then you end up seeing, all these things that are exposing people. We had a cancer patient that was 18 one time. We couldn't find what was going on. Healthy kid, ate pretty good. And sure, we went to his house, and sure enough, right, he had testicular cancer. And sure enough, right where he slept on his bed was a geopathic fault line, and it was producing this negative energetic field coming up right where his testicles were. And so we moved his bed to another room, and then he started to get better. It could be something that simple. In the last 10 years, respiratory disease in the U.S. has moved from 8th to the 3rd highest cause of death. Of course, the number 1 leading cause of death is medical mistakes. The average bed is home to anywhere from 100,000 to 10 million dust mites, and you can't see them. 80% of the material you can see floating in a sunbeam is actually human skin flakes. Indoor air may have toxic chemical concentrations of up to 100 times higher than outdoor air. And 50% of all illness, according to the American College of Allergies, is caused or aggravated by indoor air pollution. Because they're building all these buildings and homes so tight and energy efficient that nothing is allowed, and they're building it with toxic materials too that are coated in fire retardants, formaldehyde, and all kinds of chemicals. Talked a little bit about chemtrails, but I feel it's very important because what's happening is we've done a lot of research into this, and it's a controversial kind of conspiratory subject. But the fact is, it's true. And if you do the research, you'll find the same thing. There's been tests and people going to test the snow and everything out there. And you can read the government documents, actually. They say themselves that they're spraying high levels of aluminum nanoparticles in the atmosphere. That's why a bunch of stewardesses and flight attendants are being ill. They actually have aerotoxic syndrome now because the pilots are quitting and they're all becoming severely ill. I know that because Southwest Airlines contacted me and wanted me to help them out with some of their health stuff because their expenses are getting so high because all their flight attendants. Well, what they're doing, and when you fly, is they're sucking this air in from the outside. And what they're spraying in the air, according to preventing global warming, is high levels of aluminum nanoparticles. And the aluminum nanoparticles, that's the main one, but there's all kinds of other things. They found desiccated human red blood cells in there. They found uranium particles in there, pathogens, pesticides, all kinds of stuff. All this stuff is falling down on us. Thank God Houston is not really a heavily sprayed city, but in other parts of the United States, they're spraying every single day. And it's affecting the soil, it's killing plants, etc. So I would highly recommend that you do some research on that and maybe help join the revolution on trying to get them to stop. So what do you do and how do you breathe clean air? One of the things I like is telling people to put live plants in their home, like at least 2 plants, and the office too, because plants produce oxygen and they absorb toxins, actually, and they process them. And they also suck in carbon dioxide. Taking walks in nature near water is always really good. The ions in the air are really good around waterfalls or the ocean. Oxygen supplements are available out there. Changing your air filters regularly in your home is really important. You can also use aromatherapy diffusers. That's where you put essential oils in a diffuser and it just kind of goes through your air and helps clean the air. Crystal salt lamps work good as well. The HEPA filtration is okay. The one I recommend and the one I use is the REMI unit. And the reason why is when the SARS epidemic broke out in China, the Chinese government hired a team of scientists to find what was the best air purification system in the world that they could use for their hospitals and put in all their buildings so they would kill the SARS. And they looked all over the world and tested a bunch of them. It ends up, it was a company in the United States that had the best unit. And they sell a unit called the REMI unit, and it produces ionized hydroperoxides. And what I love about it is it actually fits into your HVAC or your main air conditioning system. So a lot of those air purification systems that just turn and on your floor, they only grab an ionized stuff like this high. Well, you're up here breathing this air, and then it falls to the ground. This actually goes through all your ducts and comes down in and cleans all the air in your home. The bedroom I put on there is really the most important part if you want to take this slow and start cleaning up your air, because you want to be able to sleep sound for 8 hours every night. That's when your body heals, and you want to be able to breathe clean air when you sleep. So it's really important. Anybody that has like the memory foam mattresses, the first thing we would do is we would go into the person's bedroom and say, this is what we need to fix first. You have memory foam mattress in here, which is outgassing stuff that you're breathing all night long. You need to switch to an organic mattress, switch to organic bedding, switch to organic pillow. You have your cell phone plugged in right here. Get rid of that. Let's put some plants in here. Let's clean up this place where you sleep and make your sleeping environment really nice and clean, because you're going to be, sleeping there and breathing that air in all night long. So it has to be clean. And most of the time, every time we did that, a lot of their symptoms would just start going away already, just for that 8 hours of breathing pure, clean air. Next, we're going to move on to body toxins from food. Genetically modified foods are something that are extremely serious because they're everywhere. But these are the things that you want to look out for food. Most food has pesticides, has herbicides in it, meat has hormones, antibiotics, dairy, soy. Soy is high in phytoestrogens. Most of it's genetically modified, but we have a major hormone disruption syndrome going on in the United States, and some of that's due to soy. White flour, table salt, MSG, which just makes everything taste better, gluten, microwaved foods. The Russians actually outlawed microwaves in the 70s because they were so bad. And think about it. You're going to take a food and put it in a box, and you're going to put microwave energy through that food. It heats it from the inside out. It rips and tears through all the nutrients. So you could put a hamburger in the microwave and take a hamburger out of the microwave, and it might look like a hamburger, smell like a hamburger, but what it is radiated toxic mass that you're putting inside your system. So really, what you want to do is you want to have live food instead of dead food. Anything that's dead doesn't have a life force to it as opposed to live food. Daily toxins from food, maybe 200,000. Here's what's happening with GMOs. We've made a big stride with genetically modified organisms, but it's really scary because the Bt toxin is actually engineered into plants, and it's called the Bacillus thuringiensis. And what it is, it's a bacteria. It's actually a pesticide, insecticide bacteria. But the plants are manufacturing it now, and so how it's designed to work is when the bugs come on the plants and they eat the plant or the apple or whatever, it produces the Bt toxin. They get it in their body, and it ruptures their stomach and intestinal lining, and it blows up, and the bug dies. So they don't have to use a bunch of pesticides and insecticides. What's happening is the bee population is dying off because they're going to pollinate, and they're getting the Bt toxin in their stomach and blowing up. The butterfly population is decreasing because the butterflies are getting the pollen on them from the plants with the Bt toxin, and their stomachs are blowing up. The whole ecosystem, and what scares me even more is what's happening to the kids right now. Because I have 2 little kids, and kids are way more vulnerable to these things than adults are. And when you have kids that are, anytime you go out to a restaurant, you have corn chips, a Mexican restaurant, you have anything made with soy, just look in your cabinet, and you're going to see a bunch of stuff in there that has soy in it or has corn in it, which is genetically modified, and probably the Bt toxin. And that's why that allergies in children is skyrocketing now. Like 1 out of every 3 children is suffering from rashes and allergies and everything else because the Bt toxin will burn tiny holes through the intestines. And then you will get severe leaky gut syndrome, and all of these particles and toxins will leak into the bloodstream and cause an immune reaction immediately. It'll cause the immune system to attack it. So 80% of processed foods right now contain GMOs. And the GMO plants that don't have the Bt toxin are requiring more pesticides and insecticides, and it's really, really damaging the world. And, you know, we have a lot of videos and a lot of research on that. If anyone's interested, to just contact us and we'll provide that information. The next thing that's really damaging, that's contributing to the root cause of disease, is excitotoxins. And Russell Blaylock is a doctor who actually termed excitotoxins because he saw so many problems in the brain. Excitotoxins affect parts of the brain that control behavior, emotions, and sleep cycles. Okay? Guess what? Artificial sweeteners, food dyes and colorings, extremely toxic. Have you ever had your kid go to a party and most of the food dyes are in all the different types of food for kids. And then all of a sudden they're just going through the roof and they're, you can't understand what's going on. You're thinking, oh yeah, this is probably the sugar, which probably a lot of it is. ADD, rash, depression, MSG is a dangerous neurotoxin, and excitotoxin. And it's not, all the artificial sweeteners are, and those are things that you really, really want to avoid. All the medications that are prescribed for emotional disorders or whatever you have really are not necessary, because these are all the things that are causing those conditions. When you go into the doctor and say, I'm depressed, the doctor's not saying, okay, are you eating excitotoxins? Are you exposing yourself to heavy metals? All the things that are going to cause malfunction in the brain tissue that are going to cause your depression and your anxiety and everything else. That's why also you see the kids on Ritalin and Adderall and all these drugs. There was such a demand from people to take MSG off that the FDA and the USDA allowed the companies, the big lobbyists, to use and hide MSG under a bunch of different terms. Have you ever seen hydrolyzed vegetable protein on your label and thought it was okay? What about hydrolyzed plant protein? That sounds good. Sodium caseinate, calcium caseinate, textured protein, natural flavoring. This is everywhere. They really get by with the natural flavoring. Chicken flavoring, soy protein, whey protein concentrate, Those are all the different terms and more that they hide MSG. In combination with the GMOs and all the digestive issues that we're seeing, because your intestinal tract starts to malfunction before anything else in your body does. Really started looking into gluten, and what I've found, and what all the people that I've talked to, and all the doctors, all the allergists, and all the specialists, they all say the same thing: get all your patients off of gluten, get all the kids off of gluten. And you see amazing things happen when you get them off of gluten and a lot of grains too. Gluten's the protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and spelt and kamut. 80% of people are turning out to be gluten or wheat intolerant and don't even know it. Personally, if you look at the chemistry behind it, the body's not meant to process gluten, so I would say 100% of the people are, you might not feel it, okay? You don't feel all this stuff. Some people are more sensitive than other people, but I guarantee you that every single person cannot break down gluten properly, and it's bad for everybody. There's 250 symptoms associated with gluten intolerance. 250 symptoms. Gastrointestinal, celiac, allergies, fatigue, joint pains, mood swings, unhappiness, depression, skin problems. The list goes on and on. But it also, all these things, like I said, it contribute to different things. And another thing that we're seeing with all these chemicals leaking through the bloodstream is hormone disruption, your endocrine system, which controls all the hormones in your body. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as a fertility clinic. Now there's a fertility clinic on every single corner. Men and women are having problems because all of these things cause you to become sterile, lower your sperm count, have an effect on your endocrine system. These are endocrine disruptors. Phthalates, plastics, BPA, those are anything that's in a plastic container. Medications are hormone disruptors. Antidepressants, fluoride, pesticides. There's low sperm counts. Endocrine disrupting chemicals are having gender-bending qualities. They're finding frogs now in fish that have both male and female sex organs because all these things are being dumped in the water. It's causing sterility, the phytoestrogens in soy, and even personal care products. When your hormones are disrupted, it's hard for anything to function in your body. Well, how do we eliminate toxins from food? Well, eat fresh fruit, vegetables, raw seeds, limit your meat intake. The most important thing is to just eat organic. You can eliminate the majority of this stuff if you just go to organic. Throw away your microwave, avoid GMOs, soy, table salt. You can replace your table salt with Himalayan crystal salt. Avoid refined sugar, white flour, all processed, boxed, canned foods. Avoid gluten and avoid the excitotoxins, MSG artificial sweeteners, food dyes, stuff like that. All the food dyes, by the way, all 7 of them, the blue, the yellow, the orange, the green, and all that, you would be amazed if you pull up some YouTube videos on those dangers of food dyes and the research that has been done on food dyes. They're actually banned in most other countries except for the USA because they're so toxic. And they actually cause symptoms of ADD, ADHD, and hyperactivity in children. So instead of looking at what your child is exposed to or what you're exposed to, people are looking at the symptoms, and that's why people are being drugged. We talked a little bit about water, but the body toxins from water that's coming in, water is definitely the key to life. I mean, everything functions around the water. 90% of the population is dehydrated chronically. Fluoride, chlorine, arsenic, they're finding so many things at high levels in the water. Even with I didn't put it up here, but even with the fracking that's going on, which is damaging the earth. I mean, people are getting natural gas in their water that they're drinking. Pesticides, prescription medications, the antidepressant residue that's showing up in the water supply over in Europe right now is so high, it's almost equivalent of you taking an antidepressant if you drink about a half a gallon of water a day out of the tap. Parasites in the water, bacteria, heavy metals in the water. Another controversial issue is fluoride. Fluoride is the second most common toxic agent known to man, just behind arsenic. And dental fluorosis is so common right now in children because children are drinking fluoridated water, tap water. Anytime you go to a restaurant, they're using tap water the majority of the time. You go to coffee shop in the morning, they're probably using tap water for that. Anytime that you have at a restaurant, you eat any meals, most likely it was cooked with some sort of water. Fluoride toxicity is everywhere. I mean, it's one of those things where you pretty much can't avoid it. One of the things that it does is it calcifies the pineal gland. If any one of you have heard of your third eye, it's the pineal gland in the middle of your head. It's what, according to scientists or, researchers in spirituality say, that's your connection with God. You can actually take and dissect the pineal gland, and it's made of rods and cones, just like your eyeballs are. Pineal gland is the organ that sucks in fluoride the most and the fastest of every organ in the body. Also, the pineal gland helps regulate your hormones, serotonin, melatonin, all your feel-good hormones. Basically, what you have with fluoride is a calcification of the pineal gland, which actually ends up making you lethargic. It makes you almost like a zombie walking around. It dumbs people down. It lowers the IQ in children. I mean, I highly suggest you do tons of research on the effects of fluoride in your body. Mental retardation is another thing. It's a byproduct of the fertilizer and aluminum manufacturing, and it's used severely. Again, most of the countries in Europe have banned fluoridation, and Dallas actually just banned fluoridation. So how to eliminate toxins from water? Water purification system, if you have the money, you can do it for the whole house, but make sure that you get a unit that will eliminate fluoride. And I do have some of those units available. If you contact us, I'll give you some of that information. But a lot of people don't realize that they wash their clothes in tap water, they wash their dishes, all that stuff, we're soaking up all the fluoride, and they take a shower. And a 7-minute hot shower is the equivalent of you drinking about 4 to 5 glasses of tap water. What I always recommend is to drink purified or distilled water with organic apple cider vinegar. I like distilled water, but distilled water is kind of a dead water. It's clean, the fluoride and everything's out of it. Even the purified water still might have some fluoride in it. But when you drink distilled water, it's fine to drink for a short period of time because it'll actually help you detoxify. It'll grab things because it's hungry. But then it might actually start taking some of your minerals or nutrients from your body. So I always recommend to add a little organic raw apple cider vinegar into it. And that puts the minerals, the life force back into it, the nutrients. I mean, organic apple cider vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar is probably the cheapest, best healing agent that I can think of that everybody should be on because it's so good for you. There's like 150 different health uses for organic apple cider vinegar. Rainwater is good if you live in a good place. If you just let it rain for like 15 minutes first and then collect it, it's pretty clean. If you're into rainwater, it has a real high energy content to it. But 80 to 100% of your daily liquid intake should be water. The body, like I said, and the earth is made of water. After you're done breastfeeding, your body doesn't tell you and cry out for colas and alcohol and all the other stuff. The only thing your body needs and wants is water. And if you do have a pool and you're soaking in a chlorine pool or something, I would look into getting a salt or a copper ozone type pool system to prevent the chlorine. Next, we look at the body toxins that you're going to be exposed to from different beverages, colas, juices, energy drinks, bottled beverages, refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is actually genetically modified, or it's made from genetically modified corn. And recent tests have shown that it's high in metals, especially mercury. So look at the label. And actually, they're trying to relabel right now. The lobbyists are trying to relabel high fructose corn syrup under different names like natural corn sugar and stuff like that because so many people are looking at high fructose corn syrup. And the artificial sweeteners, again, sucralose, aspartame, saccharin, those are the ones that you want to avoid. Those are the ones that for sure have been documented to cause brain damage and all different types of symptoms. Coffee, alcohol, tea, milk. Look, I'm not saying that you need to completely give up everything in your life because I'm just going to say that now before I get too far into this. Because it's really about moderation. It really is. I mean, it's when you do things constantly. The body is amazing. If you want to have a cup of coffee, just make sure it's organic coffee made with good water. The toxins in coffee are because 80% of the world's coffee supply is heavily pesticide. If you've ever talked to or been to a coffee plantation, they'll always tell you the worst thing is the bugs. They never control the bugs. And they spray the coffee beans heavily with pesticides. So you're taking the pesticide toxic coffee and you're replacing it with organic, non-toxic. All you're doing with all this is you're just eliminating the toxic things. You're replacing the toxic processed foods with organic foods. Now, if you drink like 5, shots of espresso, 7 shots of espresso a day, and you do it every single day, then that might become a problem in your body. But if everything is in moderation with your body, that's the way it works. That's why, some people you see that look healthy get sick, and some other people that you would think that should be sick as can be are not sick. Really, that has to do with their emotional state, which we'll get into, because that was one of the puzzling things that we had to research, a project that we did years ago. This is what goes into a normal cow. Vaccines, rendered food. You don't even want to know what rendered food is. Most of the food, it's all dead animals and all kinds of stuff that they mix it up and they put it in mix it in with the dried food and they feed it. Hormones, pesticides, antibiotic. They actually feed cows sometimes even other cow blood. So milk is extremely dangerous if it's not organic, and you can look up, they just tested milk, regular milk, and they found something like 300 pus molecules per glass of milk, because all the cows, their nipples are inflamed and infected because they all have mastitis when they use those machines. So a bunch of pus gets into the milk, and they found over 50 pesticides in the milk too. And they found actually radiation in there and all kinds of stuff. So, and milk is one of those things that's just not good for the body anyway, unless it's raw goat's milk or raw range-fed organic cow's milk. Going into some aspartame, this is the scary thing about aspartame. It's like so many people drink diet drinks. Aspartame breaks it down into methanol, which is wood alcohol in your body. Then the methanol converts to formaldehyde in the body. Aspartame accounts for over 75% of all the adverse reactions reported to the FDA. Those are reported. Who in here has ever reported anything to the FDA, an adverse reaction? Nobody. Over 75% of the adverse reactions, FDA. People say, what's the one thing I can do that's going to make a difference? I'll say, well, first you have to clean up your air. Second, you have to get off artificial sweeteners because they're so damaging. Here's what happens. The formaldehyde then causes gradual and eventually severe damage to the neurological system, the immune system, and causes permanent genetic damage at extremely low doses. It's approved for human consumption. How do you eliminate toxins from beverages? You reduce all the toxic beverages. You drink purified, distilled water with organic apple cider vinegar, herbal teas, organic herbal teas, because now they're finding high fluoride and chemical content in the teas coming from China. Start using hemp milk, almond milk, coconut milk. I mean, those are great milks. You can even experiment and mix them together. Raw goat's milk. Or if you need to have cow's milk, then you can use organic raw cow's milk if you can find somebody to provide it to you. And better yet, just fresh vegetable juice, fruit juice, not the processed pasteurized stuff, but the fresh vegetable juice and fruit juices. You can even buy these at some of the new organic food stores and stuff like that already bottled. Next, to move on to the body toxins from microbes and parasites. This is a big problem. It's like every single person that we tested for every disease was overgrown with candida, yeast, fungus, mycoplasms. Definition of a parasite is any harmful organism that lives off a host organism, which means that it's bacteria, virus, fungus, anything. What they do is they take your nutrients and then they go to the bathroom inside your system. And what do these organisms secrete? They secrete isopropyl alcohol, formalin, formaldehyde-type compounds, which ultimately keep your body acidic. Your body should be slightly alkaline. 90%, I would say, are infested, and like Louis Pasteur, he's the one that came up with the germ theory, saying that the germs are what caused disease years ago and everything like that. And it's all about the germ, the germ, the germ. Basically, that's what modern science and pathology has been based on, and still to this day, that's what it's based on. On his deathbed, he said, there's something that I have to tell everybody, and that is the germ. I was wrong. All these years I was wrong. The germ is nothing. The terrain is everything. And they didn't publish what he said and kept it the same. It's all about the terrain. The germ can't live in the body or in a terrain that's healthy. So it's not the germ that's making you sick, it's the terrain that's making you sick. This is a tapeworm right here. How does that look? Experts estimate up to 4 out of 5 people may have parasites living in their body and don't even know it. If you eat sushi, you probably have some of these cruising around in your systems. But that's why it's so important to make sure that you're going to be exposed to these things. That's the life that we're living right now. So how do you eliminate the microbes from your system? First, look at that. Tapeworms in sushi and other raw fish attach to the wall of the intestine and can lay up to 1 million eggs a day. So you do it by adjusting the terrain, and you do that with good probiotics. I mean, there's one probiotic out there which is called the Bacillus laterosporus strain. You can't find it anywhere because there's only a small company in California that has the patent on it. That thing works. We tested a bunch of different probiotics. That one works really good to repair. I like the soil-based microorganisms too. But pH regulation, worms and stuff, they don't like to live in an acid. They do like to live at an acid pH, actually. They don't like when it becomes alkaline. And then silver works really good, colloidal silver. I like an atomic silver or plasma silver. Oregano oil. I actually developed a product specifically for parasites just because there wasn't anything out there that I could put my name behind and sell that was all organic and that was processed the right way. And then just boosting the immune system. You boost your immune system by cleansing. Do a parasite cleanse once a year, 2 times a year, whatever. It's not that hard. We've come a long way. Years ago, when you're talking about cleansing the body, it was just like taboo. There was no way. You had to mix all these shakes and these concoctions that were so thick you couldn't even swallow them, and you just couldn't. I mean, it was horrible. But now it's gotten a lot better. So, body toxins from physical, emotional, and spiritual stress. Now, this is huge because all the negativity on TV and just, people's lives and stress in the workplace, and it's all about just fear this, fear that, fear. Fear automatically drops your immune system by 50%. Anger, depression, anxiety, jealousy, resentment, negativity, the lack of exercise, which makes you more vulnerable to stress, lack of sleep, negative emotions. Negative emotions cause constipation and cause problems in the bowel. Stress will put you in a sympathetic state. There's 2 types of states your body can be in. You can be in a sympathetic state, which is a fight or flight. That means that your body stops digestion, it stops all the working of all the organs, and puts blood into your legs and your heart and everywhere you need to run as fast as you can because it's a serious situation and you need to get out of there. Here's what we found. We looked all over and started talking to people. I just put this information up about 6 months ago. Practically 75 to 90% of the people are living the majority of their life in a sympathetic state. And your body can't heal when you're in a sympathetic state. When you eat, it's so important. People are eating in front of the TV, sympathetic. They're eating when they're driving, sympathetic. They're eating in front of their computer while they're working, sympathetic. All of these things, when you eat in a sympathetic state, your body your digestion stops. When you're in sympathetic, your digestion stops. One of the easiest and fastest things I can tell everybody to do right now that will make a world of difference is to take 9 deep, calm yourself down, take 9 deep breaths. It's proven. Because then we looked at what's the fastest way to get your body from sympathetic to parasympathetic. 9 deep breaths. They studied it. Meditation is awesome, but before you eat at night, when you sit down at the dinner table, don't eat while you're driving, all that stuff. You need to be able to process and digest your foods, and you need to be in a parasympathetic state. If you have kids, get them used to it now. Sit around the dinner table and just hold hands and just say, we're going to relax a little bit, take 9 deep breaths. Now we can all say something positive, bless our food, blah, 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 and then eat. And I guarantee you'll notice a big difference. You won't get that bloating, you won't be all strained and all that. So how do you eliminate toxins from physical, emotional, and spiritual stress? No, not take antidepressants. You do things that are exciting. You know what? I used to ask the patients that came in to see us, I'd be like, so what do you do for fun? And they would just sit there and start crying. Seriously, they would be, I don't know. I'll say, what makes you happy? And they would say, I don't know. I mean, that is why they're sitting there sick, because they have no excitement and happiness and love in their life. That's like the best healing medicine you can get right there. Here's some of the things: exercise, massage, sunlight. These are the things that actually cause you to decrease stress naturally, anxiety, having fun, hobbies, doing stuff like that. Music, relaxation, meditation, learning about self, setting goals, adequate sleep. I mean, that's huge. That'll affect your stress levels big time. What it all boils down to is your health, because if you think back to the time in your life where you were the most self-confident, when you looked in the mirror and you were like, wow, I look good today, I'm gonna have fun. Usually I ask people that and they're like, yeah, that was when I was like 14, 12, something like that. I was like, yeah, you had a lot of self-confidence then, did you? Yeah, I was like, you could just do anything you put your mind to back then, huh? And they're like, yeah. Well, health, they were healthy back then. Health equals self-confidence, and self-confidence equals success. I mean, that's how you're successful in your life. This is something that I hope everybody takes, because I deal with these phone calls every single day, and it's getting worse and worse. The DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that the psychiatrists use to label mental illness. There's never been any proof of mental illness. There's 943 pages that lists out 374 mental disorders. That's a $330 billion industry. Psychiatric drugs kill an estimated 3,000 people every month. 17 million children are taking psychiatric drugs so dangerous, like antidepressants, for example, that cause suicide and hostility in children and adolescents. There are parents and moms that call my office, and I almost start crying when I talk to them. Their teachers recommended, they were acting up, they were depressed because they broke up with their boyfriend. 12-year-old girl. Her mom took her in, they put her on antidepressants. 5 days later, she committed suicide in her closet. That's one. Thousands it's happening to. FDA issued a warning about drugs such as Adderall, Ritalin, Concerta can cause suicidal as well as violent, aggressive, and psychotic behavior, and can cause heart attack, stroke, and sudden death. They have mental disorders now for like fingernail biting, looking at somebody the wrong way. I mean, basically, if you don't get a drug when you leave the psychiatrist's office, they have a code that labels you for mental ill because you didn't take the drug from the psychiatrist. Yes, you will be labeled with mental illness if you leave the psychiatrist's office without taking a medication. And that goes on your record forever. So then if anyone ever pulls anything up, right now, by the time our kids get to be 18, everybody's going to have mental illness. They're going to have a record of mental illness. Right now, there are children 5 years old committing suicide. That is on record. And there are 4-year-olds being put on psychotropic drugs. That is sick. So, the next time a doctor tells you you need to, or the teacher or somebody in the school tells you something's wrong with your kid or that you're having problems, it's not you're having problems and you're mentally ill. What the problem is, you're eating GMOs, you're eating excitotoxin somewhere, you're consuming any one of these things, fluoride, all that stuff. You need to start looking at your environment. Because I work with the Autism Association too, and a lot of times the kids that with autism are just toxic. That's it. So body toxins from electromagnetic and microwave radiation. Heavy users of cell phones displayed a 240% increased risk for a malignant tumor on the side of the head where they typically held the phone. You're going to be exposed to EMFs and stuff a lot of different places. Big screen TVs, computers, the Wi-Fi in schools. They're taking Wi-Fi out of schools in Europe because of so many complaints from the parents, because their kids are having a hard time concentrating. They're complaining of headaches. A child's skull is really thin, so they half the size or more than an adult skull. So the frequencies pass easily into the child's brain, especially kids now that you see with cell phones. that are 12 and under. Really, you don't get the thickness until you're about 15 or 16, maybe even up to 18. There's plenty of documentation out there on this as well. You can just type in dangers of Wi-Fi in schools. Digital clocks, power lines, smart meters is the new thing that's causing all kinds of damage. Smart meters, from what I hear, there's going to be an opt-out option, but if you have a smart meter on your house, I would highly, highly recommend. They're going to be bombarding high-level microwave frequencies throughout your whole house with those smart meters. They can tell exactly when you turn on the lights. They can tell exactly what appliances you're using. They want to learn every single thing about you so they can sell it to the big companies in advertising and stuff like that. Fault lines, geopathic stress, sedentary lifestyle. Mammograms, ladies, please do not go get mammograms. Thermography is a better option. You don't want to radiate your breast tissue. CT scans, there's always better options. You can get an MRI, no contrast, which is a better option than a CT when they inject you with all the radiation stuff. And please, the airport scanners, even though they tell you, the TSA says, oh, these airport scanners are safe, and everybody just walks through, and I go there, I'm like, I cannot believe this. That is, in order to see that high level of distinction, you get bombarded with ionizing radiation. They will not release any tests because it's under Homeland Security and TSA and all that show. But I know people that work for the companies, and they're saying they would never get inside of it. So if you go to the airport, all you have to say is opt out. I want to opt out. And you'll be able to opt out of that body scanner. Each time you go through that body scanner, what I've heard is the equivalent of like 10 to 15 x-rays. Nuclear radiation, I put this on because it's definitely something that's not in the mainstream media, but we are getting calls every single day from parents and doctors, especially in California and the upper Northwest, from seeing birth defects. All kinds of stuff is happening from Fukushima. You can go to the National Oceanic website and actually see all the radiation in the water. But it's something that you need to be aware of. There's some radiation particles. This is nuclear radiation. This is the stuff that has a serious effect on your DNA and on your genes. And how to protect yourself from that. I'm actually coming out with a new product pretty soon, a pill that you can take that will absorb strontium-90, cesium, and your uranium particles. And for the radioactive iodine, which is iodine-131, the best thing to do is take a nascent iodine. Everybody needs to supplement with their vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. And I'm more about, look, let's address the root cause of why you have problems. And that's why a lot of the practitioners always recommend, go see your natural healthcare practitioner, go see your chiropractor, because you really need somebody to walk you through and help you with everything and, kind of guide you. And if you need some different types of supplements, that's fine. But first of all, the first thing you should always do is cleanse the body. I mean, a lot of times after you go through a deep cleansing, 50% of your symptoms go away, and then the real stuff starts coming up. That's another thing that we found was, if a patient comes in and you're looking at their symptoms right here, if you say, what are your symptoms? I headache, this, that. Well, doctors are going to go right off of those symptoms. That's not really what's going on in your body. We found that out. I didn't even know that. We found that out because we would take a complete history, a detailed history, which the average time spent with physicians is less than 7 minutes. How are you going to find out what's wrong with somebody in that amount of time? We'd take like a 2-hour history of the patient. Yeah, where do you go? Do you go overseas? This, that. Find out everything about them. Then get their symptoms. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean you out really good. You're 50 years, you've been damaging your body. Let's just clean you. Clean them out really, really good. Then we say, okay, let's go back and do another health questionnaire after you're done cleansing. Those symptoms that were there to begin with, most of them were gone. And then all of a sudden, like maybe some new things popped up. That was it's like peeling an onion. That was like the real stuff that was happening. So that means that all the people out there that are going to the doctor's office and telling them their symptoms, that's just what's on the outside. And that's what they're being treated for, instead of being cleaned up really good and finding out what the real problem is. One thing, though, that I found, and other doctors will tell you the same thing if they do a bunch of tests, is that practically every single person is iodine deficient. And It is such a vital nutrient. It used to be an iodized salt, but they took it out a long time ago and replaced it with bromine. Bromine, here, and this is why so many people are having endocrine and thyroid issues, and this is why you can't lose weight, and a million other things. Because iodine is part of a halogen. That's bromine, chlorine, fluorine, bromide, and iodine. Look at all the chlorine out there. Look at all the fluoride out there. Look at all the bromine. They replaced, took iodine out and put bromine in white bread years ago and took it out of the salt in most cases. So basically what's happened is we've had a severe iodine deficiency going on. If anyone ever suffers from any type of cyst in the body, fibrocystic breast disease, breast cancer, ovarian cysts, polycystic ovaries, anything like that, fatigue, I don't care, any type of system, most likely you're iodine deficient. Dr. Brownstein, wrote a book on iodine deficiency, tested 9,000 or something patients, close to 10,000 patients, and found 98% of them had an iodine deficiency. So what's happening? Everybody has thyroid problems. Everybody's, having all these cysts and all these problems everywhere. So iodine actually is a broad spectrum, or a great substance that is absorbed in your thyroid, but it can't be in your thyroid to regulate your thyroid if all the other fluoride and everything is there, because that competes for the receptor sites. It also helps clear up your pineal gland. It protects against radiation. Iodine's used for every cell in the body. So I would definitely look into, it also regulates the immune system and helps detoxify things from the body. So I would highly recommend iodine, especially I recommend it to pregnant women, because a lot of the time it's linked to autism, even though that's also linked to vaccinations. But every single kid, a lot of the children right now are deficient in iodine. So it's very important to give iodine to your children. I recommend only nascent iodine. That's the best one. So how to eliminate toxins from electromagnetic and microwave radiation? Throw away your microwave. Yes, it's going to take you a little bit extra time if you want to cook your meals, but you can get maybe one of those far infrared ovens or convection ovens or something like that. There's a bunch of cell phone radiation protectors, computer radiation protectors. We just finished. I hired a team because there's so much stuff out there, and we get this question all the time. What can I do about radiation? There's a bunch of online, bunch of radiation, cell phone protectors, stuff you wear. But none of it really had scientific studies. Like I could take a reading of a cell phone and I could put the thing on there and then go back and take another reading and it would be gone. And then so we contacted the companies like, we're still getting a reading. And they're like, well, yeah, it's a geometric pattern in there, it's blocking it, but you can't really read it. So finally hired a team of people to do the research for 3 months to figure out and look at every single cell phone protector out there, every single computer protector, how to protect the house, your house from radiation, the best smart meter protectors, and everything you need, including clothing that you can wear if you're flying or whatever, if you're going to be close to some radiation or something like that, that will block it all. And we just published it all on our website. I don't have it all here. It would take forever to go through it. But if you go to globalhealingcenter.com and you just type in the search bar, radiation, you'll see all the, and I'm not, I don't even sell those companies' products. I just do it for the better good of society, so you can go. I have them ranked. This is the best, second, third, fourth, or whatever. So I highly suggest you do that. Turn off your appliances when not in use. Replace the fluorescent lighting and standard light bulbs in your home and office with full spectrum or LED. And ladies of all ages should not wear wire bras or any wired frame garments, because the wire frame will pick up the frequencies and transmit it into your breast tissue. That's why we're also seeing tremendous amount of cases of breast cancer increasing with cell phone use. And I've actually seen women walking to the mall and stuff that are carrying their cell phone inside their bra. They walk around like that. So those are the ways to protect yourself from the radiation. And Detoxidine is the iodine product that I actually helped develop and use. which is in a vegetable glycerin base, because most of them out there are in alcohol, and alcohol by itself is an endocrine disruptor. So, we had to kind of like reinvent the wheel and figure out what we can do and how you can take healthy stuff instead of, taking herbs and alcohol, before, ethanol, which is genetically modified and also an endocrine disruptor. So we do everything in a vegetable glycerin, which is safe and it tastes good and it's great to use. Body toxins from heavy metals. These are kind of hard to find, but arsenic, cadmium, aluminum. Aluminum's everywhere in your deodorant, aluminum foil with the chemtrails, lead, foods, mercury. And the reason I put this up is because I'm going to talk to you later about doing a chemical and a heavy metal cleanse, because it's really important. When you take, let's say, aluminum in the body, and that's another thing with breast cancer, women putting on aluminum deodorant and it's going into the breast tissue, and aluminum actually activates some of the mechanisms for cancer. And mercury amalgams and stuff like that too that you have in your mouth. When mercury comes in contact with aluminum, it's a violent reaction, see? So each one of these things that we're talking about today, these are all individual toxins, but a lot of times, if you mix two of these things together, or mix 4, 10, or 100,000 on a daily basis, who knows the reactions that's going to take place inside your body and what's going to happen. So I wanted to show everybody just a short video, and this is what happens if anyone in here has any mercury amalgams or silver fillings in their mouth. Mercury is so dangerous that just a tiny amount of the vapor can continually harm you over and over and over, and you can have fatigue and cancer, and you can have brain problems and lymphoma and all different types of problems.
So all mercury silver fillings leak substantial amounts of mercury constantly. The amount increases with any kind of stimulation, and as a result, mercury from fillings produces the majority of human exposure to mercury. The International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology is extremely concerned about the anecdotal claims of safety by manufacturers and dental trade associations. They're at variance with the published, peer-reviewed scientific evidence to the contrary. The precautionary principle requires action once the possibility of harm exists. It does not require proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that in the case of heavy metal and xenobiotic exposure is both nearly impossible and unnecessary, in our opinion. What you're seeing is mercury vapor coming off a 25-year-old silver amalgam filling in an extracted tooth. The background is a phosphorescent screen. The mercury vapor absorbs the fluorescent light, and you can see it as a shadow on the screen. This is mercury coming off a filling that was dipped in water that's the same temperature as the human body. This is a filling that was rubbed with a pencil eraser for just a few seconds. Like going to the hygienist and having her clean your teeth. These are not small amounts of mercury. If you can see it, it's more than 1,000 times higher than the Environmental Protection Agency will allow for the air that we breathe. What about the last time you went to the dentist and they drilled on your tooth? Here is the mercury vapor every time you raise the temperature to 110 degrees with hot coffee or warm water, or even chewed on it. Mercury comes off fillings every time you stimulate them, and that stimulation causes the mercury to continue to leak out of the fillings for an hour and a half at a minimum. Some people grind their teeth. Some people chew gum. The dentist might send an old gold crown to the dental lab to be welded. How about the dental personnel? They're not being given informed consent.
What happens is you're constantly absorbing that mercury vapor into your brain and into your bloodstream, and mercury accumulates in the liver, it accumulates in the kidneys, causes kidney disease. It's just one more thing that you're taking in on a regular basis. So I thought that was pretty shocking because, how many people do you know that drink coffee, or grind their teeth or whatever? So I highly recommend getting your mercury amalgams taken out, but when you do it, you have to go to a professional dentist that knows how to do it properly. People are going down to Mexico and doing it, and they're getting paralyzed from the waist down because mercury, if you breathe too much too fast, will paralyze you. So I like Dr. Glaros if you're in Houston. He's one of the best. He's biologicaldentist.com. People come from all over the world to see him, and he does all my work, but I don't have any mercury amalgams. So the next one is the body toxins from blocked neurological feedback. This is when the body produces toxins, and from spinal malfunction, auto accidents. I mean, everybody's had like a fall, got jolted around before, they've had some trauma or there's some surgery. Obesity causes this, chronic tooth infection causes malfunction. Any of this can cause blockages in the neurological system, in the spine or somewhere, to where you're not getting the proper signals from your nerves to your organs so your organs can function properly. So how to eliminate toxins from neurological feedback? Chiropractic adjustments, massage, stretching, chi machine works pretty good, acupuncture, inversion table where you lean upside down. Weight loss is one of the best ways to just get that extra weight off you. Rebounding, yoga, Pilates, keeping your mouth clean, no fluoride toothpaste. But one thing that I really like is oil pulling, and we've used that for a long time with either, I like to use sesame oil one day and then maybe mix in some coconut oil another day. But oil pulling is great. It's where you switch the oil around in your mouth from anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, and then you spit it out and rinse your mouth out. And what it does is it takes and pulls all the toxins from your blood and chemicals and cleans your mouth, and in some cases even whitens your teeth with coconut oil. Solutions to reactivate your self-healing mechanism, because that's really what we're all talking about, is the self-healing mechanism, is education. Find out about what's causing your self-healing mechanism to be suppressed. And then detoxification and cellular cleansing. This is the key, because, obviously, I talk to people who are like, I don't have the money to do all that. I can't do all that stuff. It's always about money. I got to buy a water purification system, this. It's baby steps. Start doing one thing at a time. The next time you need salt, get Himalayan crystal salt. The next time you need, constantly, it's like there's a big, long staircase of health, okay? And you're right here. Every day, are you going down one step of health, the stair of health, or are you staying there, or are you going up one stair? 1 month, you say, okay, well, I'm going to replace, I'm going to stop eating GMOs, I'm going to do gluten, I'm going to do that. Actually, I don't recommend you do everything at once because it's too traumatic. You just start slowly, let's say this week you're going to eliminate artificial sweeteners from your diet. Boom, you just walked up 3 steps. This week, you're going to the store, you're going to buy organic instead of going to your normal store. That's huge. You just went up like 1,000 steps. But it's all about making those changes. Next weekend, take the whole family out to, a plant store and ask the person there, what are good indoor plants that I can use, for my area. And they'll say, okay, yeah, these work really good. Does the sun come through the window? Yeah, I have one window there. And they'll help you out. Then that weekend, put plants in your house. So all you're doing is eventually you're getting healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier, and you're making all these changes. If you want to make all of them at once, go ahead and do it. But you have to continually cleanse your body. Do an intestinal cleansing, liver and gallbladder cleansing, kidney cleansing, chemical and toxic metal cleansing, parasite cleansing. The reason I put weekly intestinal cleansing on there is because that's where everything comes in. And if you're constipated, that's what has to be cleaned on a weekly basis. You don't have to do it every day, but I recommend using oxygen-based cleansers because all the herbal-based cleansers out there, like the psyllium, cascara, all that, can cause permanent damage to the bowel. The laxative industry is $1 billion a year industry. $1 billion. It's one of the biggest industries that there is. So doing all those cleanses, we have our cleanses online, but research it. If your doctor has cleanses, that's great. I'm not saying you need to do all my stuff. All I'm saying is this is the key to health. This is the secret to health. Right here. The earth cleanses itself on a regular basis. You can look, we've lost all this. I mean, okay, you take a shower every day to rinse the outside of your body, but what are you doing to rinse the inside of your body? Just think if you were to take everything you eat for a day, the normal standard American diet, mix it all up and blend it in a trash can, all the coffees, the 62-ounce cola, the cheesecake, all that, mix it in there, the bottle of wine, and then pour it all over the top of you. And then let it sit, do the same thing every day for 40 years. That's the kind of stuff that the inside of our body is having to deal with, but nobody's talking about cleansing the inside of your body on a regular basis. And that is what, once you cleanse your body and keep your body clean, then your self-healing mechanism starts to kick in. But it's about changing your environment and reducing your stress. Supplementation, and then the external support, the chiropractic, the massage, and then eating a healthy diet. And then the last thing is opening up your elimination routes, so you can get the stuff out of your system. The more healthy you eat, the more water you drink is automatically going to improve your bowel movements and your urination. You're going to be exercising more. If you don't want to do hardcore exercise, use a rebounder. That's going to, make you breathe a little bit faster. It's going to open up elimination routes. That's why a lot of women, their menstrual cycles are irregular. That's a telltale sign that they're toxic and they need to start cleaning themselves up. When we had so many people that contacted us for fertility, they would kind of say, I've spent, $200,000 in the last 4 years. We can't get pregnant. I said, you'll be pregnant in 3 months. Go through this intestinal cleanse, go through this liver and gallbladder cleanse, go through this parasite cleanse. I always use chemical and heavy metal cleansing for last because I don't want to pull too many chemicals and heavy metals out unless the liver's already clean and can handle it. And every single time, not one case, after they just cleaned their body, they were pregnant within 90 days. Now, why do you think the body doesn't get pregnant? Do you think the body wants a child coming in that's toxic? No, it doesn't. It's that simple. We went over the elimination routes, how a healthy body eliminates toxins. People are waking up and doing more research because they're going to the doctor and they're not getting answers. And now, thank God for the internet because you can actually look up your symptoms and everything. But people are going to the doctor and saying, well, can I take this herb with this medication or can I take this? And the doctor doesn't know. So, doctors, you and everybody else out there are actually changing the world because doctors now are being forced into learning about, they're not learning this yet, but this was one of the biggest seminars for doctors that I just did out in California, and there was 4,000 doctors in the audience that actually wanted to learn this information. That would have never happened 10 years ago. And I did basically the same thing. I did the same thing today that I did there a couple months ago. So it's great that everything's working out. We're going into that addressing the root cause of disease instead of addressing the symptoms of disease.